Welcome back to another We Power podcast, a We Power broadcast. I'm so excited that you decided to take time out to ride with me today. And today's show is going to be a very informative show, directly out of my experience in writing grants. I've been asked by several people to write grants for them or to help them write grants. And so what I decided to do was I put together a small 2-page guide, bullet point guide of making grant writing simple. First and foremost, let me be transparent. I am not a grant writer. I kind of got thrown in the fire. Grant was put on my desk and I was asked, hey, why don't you try to see what you can do with this? So I looked at it. Took my time with it, wrote it. It wasn't perfect. All my I's were not dotted. All my T's were not crossed. My whole thought behind writing this first grant was getting it done was better than it being perfect. So I just wanted to get through the process. I really wasn't too concerned about being perfect. I just wanted to complete the grant application. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Grant writing made simple on this show. Thank you for joining us. Do me a favor. I need you to like and share this podcast. I need to get as many plays on this podcast so I can get boosted to the next level in the podcasting space. So I want to first and foremost thank my sponsors, Victory's Insurance Agency, LLC. You can find Victoria Moore's contact information in the comments and on the thumbnail. Life Financial Solutions. You can find David E. Fennell's contact information in the comments and on the thumbnail. And FreeBirds General Contracting. Reggie Williams. You can find Senior. You can find his information in the contact information as well as on the thumbnail. Victory's Insurance Agency, LLC. David Fennell and Life Financial Solutions, and FreeBirds General Contracting. I want to thank my sponsors, and if you would like to become a sponsor, feel free to reach out to me, and we can get you lined up for episodes coming up in the future. Now, let's talk about grants and writing grants, and I want to put it out there like this. If you have a program, if you have a project, especially if you're doing something community-based that will enhance our community, enhance our youth, crime prevention, homelessness, substance abuse recovery, or just relax and recreation, or I would suggest taking a look at the balanced wheel of life. In your free time, or even now while you're listening to me, just Google the balanced wheel of life. And if you have something pertaining to the balanced wheel of life, I promise you there's a grant out there for you. There's several grants out there for you. If you look, let me back up. Here at We Power, and many of you heard me say this before, and I'll keep saying it. We Power, we believe that one person's noble passion can be the solution to another person's problem. So our goal here at We Power is simply to expose the passions in people that we can expose solutions to our community. So I'll say it like this. Whatever your passion is, whatever you find your noble passion to be, there's a grant out there to help you support it is what you say your passion happens to be. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned before, I'm not a grant writer, but over the course of the past, this is 2023, I haven't done anything in 2023. So pre-COVID for me, maybe 2019 to 2022, I have written maybe 12 12 to 13 grants. I have been awarded where I've received monies, or the organizations that I was writing for, they have received money. I didn't receive any personally, but the organizations that I was writing grants for, I have, out of the 12 or 13 grants I have written, I have won 9 of those 12 to 13 grants. And mind you, again and again and again, asterisk by that, I am not a grant writer. When I go back and I look over some of the grants that I have written, man, they are really sloppy. They are sloppy. The writing is the narratives. I got my point across. Don't get me wrong. I got my point across. But when you look at the structure of the narrative and how it was written, all the I's were not dotted. All the T's were not crossed. My budget really wasn't solid. But I got the point across of the purpose of my grant, and my grant lined up with the purpose of those who were giving out the funding. I made sure that the purpose of our program, or the programs I was writing for, lined up with the purpose and the outcomes that the grants were wanting to see. And so with that being said, I got about 9 or 10 bullet points that I'm gonna talk about to take this big, giant idea of writing grants that it's hard, it's difficult. You need a grant writer, somebody that's gonna charge you an arm and a leg, or just to write, and you're not gonna be guaranteed to win. I just want to say this: you can do it. You can write grants yourself, or you can put together enough information that if you do have a grant writer, that you could put together enough information that will make the grant writing easy for your grant writer. And if you do have a grant writer, your grant writer should be professional enough to know where your money is, so they're not taking shots in the dark. I know a couple of grant writers, and these grant writers have their record of winning grants will probably put them in the Hall of Fame for writing grants. Why is that? That is simply because they only go after grants that align with the purpose of their clients, and they know that they can win that grant. So with that, I put together, just like I said, about 9 or 10 bullet points of grant writing made simple. A small guide for grant writing made simple. And if you would like a copy of this, we can figure that out. Or you can shoot me an email at, you can email me at phil@wepowersuccess.com, phil@wepowersuccess.com, and just let me know you want a copy of the 9 to 8, 10 to 8 bullet points that I put together. Let's talk about writing grants. It's not as hard and it's not as difficult that it's been made out to be. Maybe in years past, it was this giant mountain to climb, but now it's really, all it really boils down to is answering one question at a time. And my goal here is to simply go through these bullet points. And if you walk with me as I go through these bullet points, whether you're looking at a grant this month, whether you're looking at a grant 3 or 4 months down the road, if you walk with me through these bullet points, I promise you, you're going to be in a position where you can start applying for grants yourself. And the best piece of advice I could tell you: cannot be scared to lose. Don't be afraid to lose. Each grant application that you complete, just count it as education, count it as a learning experience. And so, grant writing can be a complex process. But with careful planning and paying attention to details, you can create an award-winning grant. And my goal here is to just walk you through step by step through these bullet points that will hopefully help you see and understand that you can write award-winning grants, especially if you have a passion for what it is that you're doing. You can write award-winning grants. Say that with me. I can write award-winning grants for my organization. So I'm going to go through these bullet points, and then if time permits, I'll come back up and drop in, a little deeper explanation with them. And if you want to get a copy of this, again, you can email me, and I'll shoot you over a copy. You might want to do that now, because I'm probably going to turn this into an ebook and put it on Amazon. So let's go. The first bullet point in making grant writing simple is obvious. Research and identify grant opportunities. Know what grant opportunities are out there and available for you. Just here in the central Indiana area, I know there's well over $100 million worth of grants for our local area. You have local grants, you have city grants, you have state grants, you have federal grants, and you have philanthropic organizations giving out grants for this or for that. And I promise you, if you will walk around that balanced wheel of life, you're going to find an organization out there that has grant dollars to help you do what you do better. The second bullet point, understand the grant guidelines. Once you've researched and you've identified the opportunities, take time to understand what they're asking. And once you do that, you're going to quickly realize, hey, I can definitely win this grant. I've got exactly what they're asking for. Bullet point number 3, develop a project plan. Develop a plan. When I work with my clients, what I simply do when it comes to developing a plan, I use what's called the one-page business plan. And we walk through that one-page business plan simply as a task killer. So we walk through that one-page business plan to eliminate the tasks that we have to do to allow us to get to where we want to go. And that one-page business plan, many of you already know that I have worked with, it starts out with the vision, your mission, your goals or objectives, your strategies, and then your action plan. Let's take action. So develop a project plan. The fourth bullet point, create an executive summary. Now we all know this is super easy at this point. With AI, it's very easy to help formulate the idea for your executive summary. And again, as a coach, I help clients walk through that process of dropping it in AI and then taking the idea that AI has given you about your organization to help you write an effective executive summary. Bullet point number 5, tapping off bullet point number 4, write the introduction. AI can help you with that. It's grant writing. It really is made simple. And write your introduction. Use the tools that are available to you to help you do that writing. And most of you, because you're passionate about what it is that you're doing, you can write your introduction. You wouldn't even need AI. You can definitely write your introduction. Bullet point number 6, state the objectives and methods. State your objective. Be clear on what it is that you say you are doing, what it is that you say you're going to do. Bullet point number 7, present an evaluation plan. Be able to explain your outcomes. Be able to explain, the program that you're running, the program that you're operating in. What's the expected outcome? Just be able to explain that. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Bullet point number 8, and I would put a huge, gigantic star next to this bullet point. Matter of fact, I would probably put 3 stars. This is huge. Develop a budget. Make sure your budget makes sense and lines up with your narrative. Bullet point number 9. Include supporting documents. Include supporting documents that's going to help your narrative. It's going to help your budget. Number 10, review and edit. Review and edit. The number 11, the last bullet point, submit that proposal, baby. Submit the grant. Hit the submit button. Send that joker in. And again, do it with the mindset of getting it done is better than being perfect. I'm going to share my first grant. My very first grant that I wrote. And I won it. My first grant for $25,000. For $25,000, I wrote the grant. It took me probably 2.5 months to complete it. But I took my time with it. I would answer one question at a time. I would open up the grant document. I would read the question. And this was before AI. I have not written a grant with AI. So these next grants I'm about ready to write, I'm definitely going to get some ideas from AI. But my very first grant, I took my time. $25,000. I answered one question at a time. It took me about 2 months or so. And when I look back over that grant, if it was a grant writing class and the teacher was going to give me a grade, I probably would have got a D or an F on that grant. But I got the grant. I was awarded, or the organization I was writing for was awarded the grant for $25,000. I wrote another grant after that. It was $100,000. And then another client was referred to me, and I wrote that same grant for them. They also got $100,000. So as I was writing the grant for $100,000, the client was referred to them. I said, hey, you could probably get this grant too. So I wrote 2 grants, the same grant. One client got $100,000. My other client got $100,000. And when I look back over these grants, they were not picture perfect grants. But again, I had the mindset, and I still have the mindset, but I'm a little bit leaning more towards getting it perfect and getting it right than I was in the beginning. But I'm saying this in the beginning is to just get you to get started in writing and completing grant applications. The more you do, the more you're going to know what to do. And the more you know what to do, the more you're going to do what you know so that you can start putting in perfect grants. So, bullet point number 1, research and identify the grant opportunities. Basically, look for grants that align with your project or your organization's purpose, your organization's goals and objectives. Research the funding organization to understand their priorities, their criteria, and application requirements. That's easy. Just take that and walk through that. Take your time and walk through that. Bullet point number 2, and I'm running out of time. And before I run out of time, if you find this interesting, or if you think I can help you walk through the bullet points, feel free to contact me at the email address below or in the comment section, phil@wepowersuccess.com. And I'll sit down with you. And if I feel like I can help you, assist you, and walk you through this process, by all means, I am open to do that. I can't do that for free. I'm not going to break your arm or leg, but I can help you walk through the process. Bullet point number 2, understand the grant guidelines. Carefully read the grant guidelines and instructions provided by the funding organization. Note the eligibility criteria, application format, required documents, and any specific guidelines for content or structure. Crucial. Just simple. Just walk through these basic bullet points. Develop a project plan. Bullet point number 3, clarify and define your project's goals, objectives, and outcomes. Outline the activities, your timeline, again, your budget needed to accomplish your project. And there's some common sense here too in the writing grants, and that I would definitely have to have a small workshop or a one-on-one session with you to kind of help you walk through the common sense objectives. Bullet point number 4, create an executive summary. Again, AI is a wonderful tool for this. Write a concise and compelling summary of your project. This is where you want to brag on yourself. This is where you want to pop your collar. Highlight the importance, the relevance, and the potential impact that your program offers. Include the amount of funding requested and a brief overview of your organization and your team. That's crucial. A brief overview of your organization and team, and that's not as difficult as it sounds. Bullet point number 5, I'm going to kind of rush through this, running out of time. Bullet point number 5, write your introduction. Again, if you're passionate about what you're doing, this won't be difficult. And again, we have the AI tool to help do this. Here you want to provide background information on your organization. Again, here's where you shine, you pop your collar, you talk about your successes, you talk about the people that you've helped, you talk about how long you've been doing it, why you've been doing it. Include your mission statement, your core values, your previous accomplishments. Explain the need or problem that you're solving. And hit on that real hard. If you know that this is definitely a need or a problem in the community that you serve, you want to bring that out. You want to highlight that. You want to make sure it's relevant. And if at all possible, you want to have data and statistics to prove that. Bullet point number 6, you want to state your objectives and your methods. Be clear. State your objectives, your project, ensuring they are specific. We all know the acronym, the SMART goal. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. Write out your objectives. Make sure your goals, make sure they're clear, and use the SMART acronym. Bullet point number 7, present an evaluation plan. Outline how you will measure the success and impact of your project or your program. Describe the evaluation methods and tools you will need as you progress and achieve your outcomes. Emphasize the importance of how you monitor and how you evaluate and how you keep your data and how you ensure accountability and learning, and how you are able to understand if your program is working or not working. The big one, 3 stars next to this one. Develop a budget. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Develop a budget. Create a detailed budget that aligns with your project plan and the funding organization's guidelines. Clearly indicate what expenses, such as personnel, supplies, equipment, and other relevant costs. Justify each budget item. Ensure the total funding requested is accurate and reasonable. Those are crucial. And there's some common sense around all of that. And again, don't have time for it now. If you want a one-on-one, or I can possibly put together a group session or group Zoom to kind of go in this a little bit in deeper and greater detail. Include supporting documents. Provide supporting documents, letters of testimonies, letters of support, memorandums of understanding, all of those. These ensure that people are supporting you, people are behind you, and there is a need for what you're doing. Bullet points number 10 and 11. Review, have somebody else review, edit, and then lastly, submit that job. Submit the grant. Follow the submission instructions provided by the funding organization. Submit your grant proposal before the deadline, and keep a copy of the grant proposal that you have submitted. That's basically it. Writing the grant, man, is probably 70-80%. The other 20% or so is basically how well you're connected throughout the community and your network. Yeah, unfortunately, there is a little bit of not what you know, but who you know when it comes to a lot of the grants out there. But I didn't know anybody. I submitted the grants that I submitted, and I was blessed. And you will be blessed too. You will be blessed too. So that's it. That's what I'm saying. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I hope this session was helpful. And again, I will make myself available, and we can chop it up and see if there's a greater need for me to assist you, or if I can just kind of walk you through some of the bullet points in greater detail. Thank you for tuning in to the We Power podcast, the We Power broadcast. I'm your host, P. Anthony, better known as the Underground Professor. Thank you for joining me here on the We Power podcast and We Power broadcast. Again, I want to thank my sponsors, Victories Insurance Agency, LLC, Victoria Moore, Life Financial Solutions, David Fennell, and FreeBirds General Contracting, Reggie Williams. Thank you for listening to the We Power podcast.